previously on In Transition. I would love to talk a little bit more about the self-care stuff. I know Corey is all up in the self-care because I really liked this idea of how boundaries tie to self-care, which kind of you were indicating. And I think when we talk about self-care, especially as coaches, because every woman we coach is probably deficient in self-care. Would you say, Corey?
Yeah,
like they don't know how to do it, or they think it's a mani-pedi, like you said, or we're going to go have brunch.
We're going to have, I'm just going to do some self-care on Sunday. I'm just going to go to brunch with my girls. That's your self-care?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about your financial self-care? Because how is that helping you?
Right. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about like boundary setting as it pertains to self-care for you, like how you make that a part of your everyday.
I had a really hard time with boundaries for a really long time. I'm a caretaker by nature. I'm the oldest child. I am the queen of fixing it. I'm also the product of a divorced household and a multi-level divorced branches of my family. So there's a lot of all of us figuring out how to smooth the waters and take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves. And my mom dying was my catalyst for saying, fuck that. I am so done fixing it for everybody else because I got to take care of myself before I take care of everybody else. I had to learn the whole put your mask on before you put a mask on somebody else philosophy. And that was hard. Like setting boundaries when you don't know how to set them is really hard. And the only way I actually learned how to do it effectively before my mom died was to live 3,000 miles away from my dad.
We are so excited to be back for part 2 of this conversation. If you haven't listened to part 1, we encourage you to go back and take a listen. Now on to the show.
Because he was the person I had the worst problems with. Because I would just bow down. I would just bend under the weight of like parental expectation. And most of my family, but my dad was like the obvious one. And so I moved because I was like, if I'm 3,000 miles away, you can't expect me to show up and take care of the twins. I can't be asked to do everything at the last minute. I can't be asked to change my plans to make way for yours. And when we see each other, we're seeing each other on my terms, on my turf, or I'm coming home for a very specific thing and I'm not staying at your house.
Okay. Boundaries.
And that was it. Like that was how I had to learn how to do it, was to create physical distance in order to learn how to set those boundaries. And then I got better at setting boundaries.
How did your dad react to that? Did he understand?
He did, but he was also going through a phase of not having any of his own boundaries. And so he was we had a very strained relationship for a long time because he didn't appreciate that I was taking care of myself. Like, I think he knew it at a certain level that I was doing this to take care of myself, but he was feeling attacked.
Why are you doing
this? He was right. And he was also like in his own state of crisis at a different level. Yeah. And I had to really hold firm on taking care of myself when my mom died, because it's hard not to want to like take care of my siblings, especially, and let my boundaries go in an effort to make sure they're okay. And so I really had to figure out how to take care of myself first and remember that I'd learned to do that. So really holding that and having a few people in my life who made sure that I was also doing that. Like they were accountability and helping me self-care.
I remember when my dad passed away in 2015 as well. And I remember I wasn't in town when my dad passed away. I was down south for a work thing. And so I got the call. And so I drove all the way back from Riverside. But, I got to get to my family. I got to be home. And I remember somebody made a comment soon after I gotten home, like, Corey's just really strong. She's really, really strong. She's just an emotionally strong person. If you're a people pleaser or a caregiver, that F's with you, because I can't let the ship sink. I can't do this. I can't do this. I have to be Johnny on the spot. I have to do this. And so it was a while. I had to I didn't distance myself, but I literally, after my father passed, my phone was literally on silent and do not disturb for the rest of the year. And I would like look at the phone. Nope, not doing it. And just put it down, because you have to have that, because if who's going to take care of you?
Exactly.
Everybody's going to take care of you when shit hits the fan.
Yeah. And part of learning how to do that is having those boundaries in place to be able to say, this is how I take care of myself. This is how I'm taking care of myself so I can take care of you. So I can help you do better. so I can help you grow your business.
Yeah.
So help
you, that whole thing.
Help me help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's sort of in the funny version of that, I have a t-shirt that says people like you are the reason people like me take medication.
But facts.
Right. So I think, so for me, boundaries became a really foundational part of creating emotional health, like healthy emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this, and people have different opinions about this. I truly believe that everybody should have a therapist, because in some form, because a therapist is there specifically to help you, and they don't have context for the rest of your life. They are there to help you process. They don't have, they're not on anybody else's sides. They're there to work with you through what you are perceiving to be happening in your own life. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of things that you shouldn't have to go through alone. And sometimes, and I had to learn, and I had to realize this when my mom died, was I had an emotional filter in place no matter who I was engaging with in my family, in my friend circle, because they all knew my mom. So my mask was in place in different formats every time. And I didn't have a place to just take the mask off and be myself and not be strong or not be coping or not be moving forward.
How exhausting that had to have been.
And so the best thing that I did was find a therapist. Mm-hmm. And make it consistent. And I saw my therapist every week for the year after my mom died that I was still living in California. And then I moved to North Carolina. And the second thing I did on my list after I found some place to live, I found a therapist. Saw my therapist in North Carolina for the whole year I lived in North Carolina. I moved back to Denver. And it was probably the fourth thing on my list when I moved back to Denver. But I found a new therapist. And I saw my therapist every week for 18 months. Mm-hmm. And then I was doing really well. And my schedule was, I was traveling a lot. So fitting therapy and stopped being such a priority. So I stopped going to therapy. And then I want to say by like November of 2020, my body was freaking out. And I was emotionally crumbling under all the weight of working overtime and being burned out and not having somebody who could help me process through it, where I didn't have to worry about being judged or how I was filtering or what I was saying.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. And my dad just looked at me and he goes, call your therapist and see if you can get back on her schedule. And that's what I did. I called my therapist and she got me in that week. And I have been at therapy every Friday morning since November of 2020. And I still do this every week. And my friends are like, why do you need a therapist every week? And I'm like, why not? Exactly. Like, I am all about focused, oriented therapy, but I have weeks with my therapist where we are working on something specific, or I am literally just processing because it's a good place to do that. Mm-hmm. And then there are times when we're working through something, and that's also great, but there's not really a good reason for me to not see her every week.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And I have friends who are like, well, I have a coach for that. And I'm like, that's also really different. This is not the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, coaches.
People get confused about the difference between coaches and therapists and all of that and what you need each thing for. And I think the message here that is really coming through for me and for any women listening to this is, one, don't be afraid to ask for help. Mm-hmm. We notoriously, as women, I think, pretty much suck at it.
Yeah.
We fight it alone. It's lonely. It's isolating. There's plenty of other people going through similar things. If you can't afford a therapist, can't get access to a therapist, think about who else is in your circle that maybe isn't so invested in you, like you said, that doesn't know your whole backstory, because that brings stuff with it. That brings stuff with it. Do you have a truly unbiased person you could go to and process or work through something? Because I think that's really important, and a great expression of boundary creating. That you're able to do that.
The other thing that I really that I've had to remember is, and I say this as I've been doing this for a long time. I've been running my own business. I've been working in tech. It's isolating. being a small business owner can be really isolating, even with a community. And asking for help can sometimes feel like failing. And it's not failure. It's asking for help. And everybody needs a helping hand at some point. It happens at different places for different people. You're going to need it more than once. Nobody is perfect. And it's so much easier to hear that and take it to heart when someone says it to you than it is to tell it to yourself. And that's also what having a solid community is reminding you that you have a safety net, that you have people who get it. But finding those people when you work for yourself can be really hard.
Yeah. I think everybody gets in their head that, oh my God, you're self-employed. You have this glamorous life. Do I though?
Yep.
But do I? Because I had a friend tell me once, well, you're self-employed. You can take the time off and do this, this, and this. I could, but that also means I'm probably going to come home and work till 2-3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I don't drop anything.
Right.
And everything still works. And that's when it's like, you're right. It's super isolating. It's super lonely, And
it's a lot of weight to carry that you are responsible for all of it. Like you have to pay the bills. You have to do all of the admin work. You have to find the clients, serve the clients, maintain the clients, find new clients. It's a process. And we have this really weird media driven idea that this stuff happens overnight. And it doesn't happen overnight. This is not a short game. This is like building a business is a long game, and it is hard. Like anybody who tells you that they did it overnight or they made $1 million first year in business is lying to you.
Just lies. I remember I was in a coaching pod not too long ago, and we were talking about, how the whole booked and busy mentality has just overtaken any and everything. And I'm like, I just don't think people get it that, you see all those ads on social media about, I doubled my client load in 3 months and you can do it too. Okay, maybe you did, but what was your starting gate? Because your starting gate is not going to look like my starting gate. And how much money did you have to invest in your company to get that double client workload?
Right. And
where did you the red? Or
and where did that and where did that money come from to do it?
Yeah. So which Peter did you rob from to pay Paul? And what are you doing? Because are you happy? Can you sleep at night? Are you still stressed out?
My other one that I see a lot of is you don't have to double your client load. You have to raise your prices, and you can make double the money and still serve the same number of clients. And I'm like, that's also icky.
Yeah.
And I'm over the fear mongering marketing and the bro tactic negging and all of this stuff that just teaches you to make decisions out of fear instead of out of yes.
Full body yes.
Yeah. I was in a call yesterday with someone, and she's decided to start a side hustle. And the side hustle is an industry that I have familiarity with. I've worked in that industry before prior to becoming a coach. I still kind of dabble in it every once in a while. And I remember one of the people on the call told her, well, you're not charging enough. And in my head, I'm like, who are you? Do you know this industry? Because no. And so she actually asked if she could stay. She's like, can I stay on the call with the girl that's starting the side hustle? She was like, can I stay on the call with you for a few extra minutes afterwards? Sure. No problem. What can I do? Because I told her, I said, whatever you need, if you need to bounce ideas off of me, I'm still, my toes are still kind of in that pool. I know other people that can help you, but how can I support you? How can I serve you? Because I'm here for it.
Right.
And she was like, do you think I should raise my prices? I'm like, what do you think? And I go, because people tell people to either raise prices so they get the quality clients. And I think at the same time, if you lower your prices, you also know what type of clients you're going to get, but you have to do what makes you happy. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror every single day. You have to make sure that you can lay your head down on your pillow every single night and sleep as sound as you can.
Right.
And I go, you have to do what feels best. I can't tell you how much to charge.
Well, and does money in your bank account equate to your worth as a person?
Or your happiness?
Not all money's good money. And
honestly, money is not the key to happiness.
It absolutely is not. But the society in which we live in, that's
money.
Capitalistic.
And to be fair, and I say this a lot, money does not equate happiness. Money is not the key to happiness, but money makes the world go round.
Absolutely.
So I say, I have an exercise I do with clients around this, where we say, if you could make this ideal, if you could build your ideal income and your ideal workflow, we're going to go through this exercise and you're going to do these 2 financial worksheets, and we're going to figure out what you would be charging if it was a perfect situation. Like if you could have exactly what you wanted, this is what it would look like. And then we're going to go see if your market would pay it. Yeah. Because if you can't find a client base to pay that rate,
we're going to need to tweak some stuff. We're going to need to.
Exactly. Or you need to figure out how those pieces fit together differently.
Yeah. I think that this society as a whole just does such a disservice to female entrepreneurship on the surface level. But then it gets in your head this comparison. You're not, if you're not having this many calls, something just like popped up on my phone while we've been in this conversation, and it was something on LinkedIn where this person said, well, I've had 5 to 7 discovery calls a day.
Great. That gives me a hell no response.
Yeah. And like I looked at it,
and I'm not what I want.
No, and it's just, there's such a comparison. And just, I had a friend tell me, she's like, well, you're here in your coaching journey. You have this many clients. You've landed this type of client. You've done this and this. She goes, I haven't done that yet. I said, it's not your time.
Right. Everything happens when it's supposed to. And you're also on different journeys.
Yeah. I said, what is meant for you is never going to pass you by. You just got to be still and just chill. Yeah. I go, it'll happen when it's supposed to, not a moment too early, not a moment too late. And I go, don't let the fear of not making enough, not being recognized as a boss get so much into your brain that you start making stupid decisions.
Or things that aren't in alignment with your philosophy. Yeah. I love being the person that's behind the scenes, that's helping all of these people succeed and grow their businesses. And I love that I also have the capacity to spend time growing my business and serving a bigger audience. But I don't want to be the face of my business. I don't want to be a Tony Robbins or an Amy Porterfield. Like, I do not aspire to that at all. Yeah. And that just makes me cringe. But I'm really okay with being the person in the background. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be acknowledged for every little thing that I do. Mm-hmm. And I have clients who are like, I want all the PR. And I'm like, awesome. Great. I'm happy to help you figure out how to do that. Do I want to do that? Do I have an example of how I did that for you? Hell no. And that's also okay.
No. Yeah.
But I also think the other thing about being a business owner is recognizing, and being a woman in business especially, is recognizing there are a lot more transition points than you think. Mm-hmm. And things change and grow as you change and grow. And you might decide that you love working for yourself, but you need a community again, or a bigger team that's focused on the same thing, and you want to go back to work. Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong with either of those decisions.
Yeah, so many people attach like that to failure. Like if you started your own business, left it, and went back to corporate, for instance.
Oh my God.
I failed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's the amount of times I hear women talking about failing, and I'm like, it's not failing, it's closing a chapter.
Absolutely.
It also doesn't mean that you've closed the book. You can come back.
You could still be doing it.
Right. Yeah. I've been having this conversation a lot. I get headhunted heavily to go back to tech. And sometimes those offers that hit my inbox, those recruiters, they make a compelling argument that makes me say, maybe I should think about this. Or, maybe I should just take the interview. Do I really want to do this? Probably not. But maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to practice and even see what's out there. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, I will do it. And I used to say, like when I first started my business, because when you realize that you're doing things like paying all of your taxes out of what's coming in and it's not already done, and that healthcare is expensive.
Yeah.
That you would go back. I used to say I would go back to work for the right benefits package, but not necessarily for the right money. But like the benefits might make it worth it to go back to work for somebody, because it's a big thing.
Yeah. I was approached today. I mentor girls, 5th and 6th grade girls. And so I stopped by the school this morning because I give the girls, like, I want them to know, dude, I think about you. I'm writing for you. I think you matter to me. And so once a week I write out cute little gift. I find like really cute little cards and I write like a little saying, like, you're doing a good job. You know, Miss Corey's proud of you, blah, blah, blah. Decorate the envelopes with stickers and then take them up to the school and give them to the secretary. Like, hey, just make sure these kids get this sometime today. I just need them to have it. They need to know that they matter.
Yeah.
And so I was like half joking this morning and I was like, I just like need an office here. I just need an office on this campus. Mm-hmm. And the vice principal's like, well, you know, there is a full-time position. And I kind of went, huh. And she's and what she led with, really good benefits.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's the number one thing you hear when people are considering going back into corporate.
It's rarely for the job or the pay.
They're like, the benefits are great.
It's like the benefits are great.
It's benefits. Usually it's benefits first, and then it's okay. That's a level of financial security that doesn't exist when you work for yourself all the time. Yep. Of like, I'm getting paid every 2 weeks, and that's a whole different.
And I know exactly how much it's going to be.
And I know, like, I'm not worried about whether or not I need to find somebody else to fill a gap or do all of those things. And you can still, like, I have had clients who have come to me and said, we built this really amazing thing and I love it, but I miss being on a team, or I need more consistency, or we need the benefits. Like, I need subsidized healthcare because I have kids and a spouse, and this is something I have to consider.
Yeah.
And I say, cool. Do you want to go back to work full time and stop doing this? Do you want to scale what we've built into a side hustle or something you do because you love it and it's bringing in extra money when you have time? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to close the chapter and put a pause, like put a bookmark in and put it on the shelf for 12 to 18 months or even 6 months and see what you feel like? Yeah. And that is a conversation of, that's not failing. That's recognizing that you are growing and your business can grow with you the way it needs to.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's kind of getting out of that all or nothing mentality so many of us have. Like, I have to leave this behind if I shift here. And it's like, no, realize there's always options. Like, you could come back to this or you could abandon it completely and none of it's failing.
No, and none of it's wrong.
If it works for you, it's right for you. You know?
Exactly.
It's like, and like, I'm not going to lie. I would be lying through my teeth if that conversation I had 6 hours ago is not still in my head. So much where I look up the job. I'm like, oh, well, that's a nice little paycheck.
Well, and it's also nice to be wanted. Like, someone is saying, hey, I think that you would be a really good fit for this.
What I was literally told was you'd get to work with the kids 5 days a week for more than 40 hours a week, like you do right now. You get to interact with all of the kids. You get your own room. Mm-hmm. And it's really great benefits. And we need somebody that isn't afraid to speak their mind and break the rules. And I'm like, and you think I could do that? And she just kind of looked at me and she's like, yeah, you do it already. And I'm but I'm lying if I'm going to sit here and say that it's not still in my head, you know? And then it's like, okay, well, if that's the route I go, how do I adjust? Because I don't want to give up this. And I think what women sometimes fail to understand, or what society has put on us, is it's all or nothing.
Right.
Like, you can't do both. You're all in with one thing. And if you're not all in with your self-employment, then you failed. And now you have to just drag yourself back to the man. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's also, and that is a dichotomy that drives me nuts. And I say this a lot. I said, if a man did this, would we call it failing?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Or are you asking a man to choose between taking his kids to school, mm-hmm. being there because they have to be at home for school, and his job? No, you're asking the women to make that decision.
Yep.
So where is the disparity is still masculine, feminine.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, everything boils down to that. Like, if a man was given, if I was a man and they had the exact same conversation that I had a few hours ago, and I ultimately made the decision to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Oh, dude, you're championing for your family. That's a man. man, he's a good caregiver. He's a good provider. But if it were me that made that decision, oh, it's okay, sweetie. Better luck next time. It's okay. You tried it. You tried it and it just didn't work. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. And that makes me freaking livid.
Yeah.
I was like, we could have a whole other podcast on that.
A whole other episode.
That's a whole other episode. I'm like, Anna, this has been like a masterclass in like boundary setting, dealing with burnout. I mean, so many different things. I think what I kind of want to end us with to honor time too is if there's women listening to this right now who've been contemplating this transition, like from corporate or something else into their own business, what's some like words of wisdom or advice you would give them to like know maybe that they're on to the right thing or it's something they should really consider?
Listen to your instincts, because you are never going to guide yourself wrong, because even when you make a mistake, you learn from it. Because I believe in failing forward. Mistakes lead to new insights. And I'm also a really big believer in it's really okay to not put all of your eggs in one basket when you start, or ever put your eggs in one basket if that's the case. Do it in a way that feels right for you. If that means building a mom business because you're also being a stay-at-home mom, but you want something else, do it that way. Make it work for you so that you're living the life you want. Do not build your life around your business.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Because living for your business is like living to work for somebody else. Never an idea. So
there's always going to be there's always going to be the women or anyone who thinks they're going to go out and be, like you said, the next Amy Porterfield or a Tony Robbins person. And we're like, I'm going to crush it. And they only have that one viewpoint of like, that's success. There's one definition of success. And it's like getting to that level.
And really,
why do people think that that's the only way to succeed?
But then you have to actually even ask yourself, and this is no disrespect to Tony Robbins, Amy Porterfield, any of the heavyweights. Are you really happy?
Yeah, exactly. And are you happy? Does it fulfill you? Are you serving an audience that actually needs it? Because that's my boundaries. Like, I have moral and ethical boundaries around who I work with, because my goal is never to work with somebody who doesn't need it, or to work with somebody for the sake of getting paid, or to sell my soul to cover the bills. Because like, I will not go take a tech client when I'm thinking about whether or not I need to fill a gap in my client roster to pay the bill so I don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to sell my soul in the process and hate it. Why would I do that? I didn't build my business to do that. I would rather go back to work for somebody else full time than do that to myself again.
But it's that drive and that line that you've drawn in the sand that keeps you pushing forward to find the people and have the people that you literally want to work with. So that's why you're never having to, quote unquote, sell your soul.
Right. And
it incentivizes you.
So my best advice is choose the path that feels right to you, stick to your boundaries, and create time for that. Like, if you want to build something, carve time out to do it. It doesn't have to be days at a time. It doesn't even have to be half days at a time. It can be an hour here and an hour there, but start carving out that space for you to build so that you can figure out what you want, who you want to work with, and if you want it to be something bigger than a side hustle. Or let's start it as a side hustle. Start it as a hobby project. But pick something that makes you light up, something that sets your soul on fire, because that is what sustains you.
Yep. Yeah.
What would you say is your definition of success?
Contentment, actually. For me, it's about feeling really good about the work that I'm doing and the impact I'm making. And that is as small as a client sending me a Voxer and being like, oh my God, guess what just happened? Or I got so much clarity in talking to you for 15 minutes today that I haven't been able to get in months. Those small things remind me that I'm doing something meaningful, but it's more than just what I'm doing in my business. It's having the time to do things like see my siblings for dinner every week, or take that trip and go to Disneyland with my friends in April and see Muse, or to take an afternoon off and take my cousin to our mom's grave because they're buried together and we go together because it's hard. And to have the capacity to turn off everything and be present in the moment is the most valuable thing about building something for yourself, for me.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Corey and I always talk about this idea that as women, we're pretty much always in transition of some sort. You spoke beautifully about one. So for you, what's next?
That is a great question. I just launched a new program that I'm having so much fun with that's built around serving a community that cannot afford one-on-one work. So I built, and it's sort of like the stuff we were dealing with your Zoom account.
Let me help you.
Let me help you in a way that is around what works for you and not my system. So I built a new membership program called Auto, where stands for Overcome the Tech Overwhelm. And it's all about implementing technology easily in your business, but the technology that works for you, not my technology, not my system, and building those systems within a community of small business owners with me. I touch technology all day long and I can pretty much figure out how anything works, even if I can't see it. So I do a lot of like training videos. I create templates. I give you sort of those foundational building blocks to help you learn how to build your business sustainably with technology.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's $37 a month instead of, a 4-figure investment.
That's awesome.
So live coaching, Voxer coaching days, and a community setup in Heartbeat, which Lauren and I have talked about as a community platform.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's kind of legit. I like it.
So I'm having a lot of fun with that. And I'm having a lot of really cool, it's fun because I'm getting to work with tons of different small business owners. So Auto's been super fun for me, but I'm also really weighing I've been doing what I've been doing for 8 years, and 8 years of running your own business is a lot. And I didn't realize it had been that long. And I've been feeling kind of restless lately. And I was like, having this conversation around transition sort of was really well timed. I've been weighing what I want to do next. And I have a couple of really interesting offers and opportunities on the table to go back to work for somebody else. So I'm weighing keeping something like Auto because that's where my passion lies and where I can serve a lot of people easily. And sustainably, and going to build something big with somebody else.
Love it.
Yeah.
See? You can always change your mind.
Yeah. And who knows, I might decide I don't even want to do that and keep consulting. I'm also weighing whether or not, moving halfway around the world makes sense in the new era of post-COVID-ness, current COVID-ness.
I love it. I love it.
You only get this one life, so do it on your terms.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, is putting those foundations in place so that it's easy to make those decisions. And I say this a lot, too many decisions is as bad as no decisions.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Anna, thank you so much for your time. For anyone that's listening, if you want to connect with Anna around any of the things that came up, in particular tech and like reducing the overwhelm, how can people find you?
You can find me online on my website at wickedmarvelous.com, and I'll give you guys a link for Auto so that you guys can just put it in the show notes if you want.
Love it.
You can also find me on LinkedIn. My last name is spelled weird. It's Addoms. I'm the only one. So
not like the Adams family.
Really freaking close. Charles Adams is in a distant relative. So yeah, it's a transposing of a letter on, intake records at Ellis Island.
Wow. Oh, wow. Well, I just followed you on Instagram, and I now I need to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely connect with Anna. Hopefully we'll bring you back at some point to talk about what's happening next, because it sounds like there's a little bit of mystery. She dangled a little carrot there.
There was a carrot. There were a few carrots that I feel like were dangled during this conversation. Yep. So yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much. And we definitely look forward to having another conversation in the future.
Well, thank you for having me. This was so much fun. And I cannot wait to hear what else you guys talk about with other people.
Awesome. Well,
thanks, Anna.
See you soon.
Yep.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We appreciate our listeners more than you could ever know. If you liked any part of what you heard, please, please, please do us a favor and follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're willing to go a step further, we would love for you to leave us a review and send this episode to a friend that you feel would be served by it in any way. We are so excited to finally share more about Catalyst, the community that we are building in conjunction with this podcast. Our mission with Catalyst is to create an authentic, safe, and inclusive space for heart-centered, growth-minded, multi-passionate women to navigate their life's transitions by building meaningful relationships, learning from one another, and growing into the best version of themselves, and maybe even make the world a little bit better in the process. If you're interested in becoming a founding member of Catalyst, we would love to learn more about you and have you apply at wearecatalyst, all one word, .social. We only have a limited number of spots for this founding member round, so be sure to get your application in soon. Again, the website to apply is wearecatalyst.social. We look forward to the possibility of getting to know you on a deeper level and supporting you in navigating your life's transitions. We cannot wait to have you join us for the next episode. Until then, we encourage you to lean into your community and embrace the growth that inevitably happens when you're in transition. See you guys next week.